Community Engagement Coordinator with Greensboro Parks and Recreation, and I'd like to welcome you to our community conversation this morning talking about the Battleground Parks District. We're going to give it a few seconds to let some people join us, and while we're doing that, just a couple quick reminders for you about things going on within the city. Right now, the U.S. Census is taking place, and we really want to be sure that everyone gets counted. So jump on our website at greensboro-nc.gov/census, and that's going to have a lot of information on what the census is, how you can go take the census. You can do it on the phone, you can do it on the computer, you can do paper versions. And then it's going to have a lot of frequently asked questions. So just take a look at that and be sure that you and your family get counted for the census. Also, just a quick reminder, we're doing the Great Greensboro campaign right now. That's going to be this Saturday night, May 2nd at 6:30 p.m. All of our Facebook Lives this week are involved with different aspects of camping. Today we're going to be teaching you how to make a fire. So be sure that you're joining us live at 1 p.m. today, tomorrow, and Friday, and then at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday for our Great Greensboro campaign. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our community conversation. I'm going to turn it over to Shauna Tillery, who is our Division Manager with Planning and Project Development.
Hi, good morning, Greensboro. I am Shauna Tillery, and I currently serve as the Planning and Project Development Manager for Greensboro Parks and Recreation, and I want to welcome you guys to our virtual community conversation regarding the Battleground Parks District PARTIF application. So we're going to go through kind of a couple different elements today to kind of talk about Greensboro Parks and Recreation, to talk about this project in particular, to talk about what PARTIF is, and then you'll see a visual map behind me. That'll kind of be our last element of this community conversation today, to talk about each element of the PARTIF application. So as a reminder to everybody out there, Greensboro Parks and Recreation exists to provide professional, diverse leisure opportunities through inclusive programs, facilities, parks, open space to make Greensboro a desirable place to live, work, and play. We do this through our framework, which on all of our shirts, everybody can see that we have Enhance, Expand, and Connect. So really we're trying to enhance our existing facilities, expand our offerings by strengthening our community partnerships, and then connecting our communities with healthy, vibrant, equitable park systems throughout Greensboro. Just to refresh everybody's memory about the Battleground Parks District planning process, this process was started back in 2010 with a master plan. That was approved by the Greensboro City Council and the Greensboro Parks and Recreation Commission. And during that planning process, there was a robust community engagement process that went through and conducted engagement opportunities, and then developed a conceptual plan that included things such as the Zipline, Skywalk, and then that reflects really those preferences that were indicated in the community engagement, the residents and stakeholders at that time. During the course of a period of time, we also had a bond referendum that was done in 2016. So voters approved the initial development of the Battleground Parks District through that bond referendum back in 2016. And then we started doing the actual design work for that following that bond referendum approval. In 2019, it was around the summertime, there were some initial conceptual renderings that were released, kind of showing the pretty pictures of the hillside development and that first initial design of the Battleground Parks District. And then in January of this year, we started approving or starting to work through the process of the PARTIF application. And that was before everything with the COVID-19 epidemic happened. So I want to make it very clear that the funding for this project is associated with the bond referendum from 2016. And that is specific to this initial development. It's not a general revenue project. It is truly a bond project that was approved by voters in 2016. And through the course of this project, we will likely start construction with or without the grant, not until 2021. So I want to be clear about that.
So when you say that's part of a bond money, is that money that could be diverted to help cover costs that maybe are involved with the shortfall because of COVID-19?
No, because that funding was specifically allocated and approved by voters in 2016, it can solely be used for this particular project. And that's what we're doing. In order to kind of offset what we feel is going to be kind of those initial development costs, we are applying to be good stewards of funding for the part of application. This is an excellent project for this matching grant of up to $500,000 for this particular project. So to give folks a little bit of information about what PARTIF is, it stands for the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund that is funded through the North Carolina General Assembly. And each year, the Parks and Recreation Authority, which was an appointed citizen board, reviews these applications throughout the state, 30% of that funding through the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund goes specifically to local governments. 65% of the remainder of that funds goes to North Carolina state park projects, and 5% goes to specific coastal projects. So we know that there's funding that's out there that's available, and we have the bond funding to do the actual match on that particular project. So we're really excited about this project. As part of the application process, it does require public comment. So we were going through the design and how we were setting up the grant application in January, and then March, when we were going to have our initial public engagement event, then that's when everything shut down. So we were unable to have the reenactment event at Country Park where we were going to do the face-to-face public engagement. So in order to kind of be creative about it, we're doing our community conversation virtually. With the grant application, it's not really required just because of the COVID-19 pandemic that we're in right now, but we want to make sure that we're being transparent and engaging the community and offering up opportunities for people to comment as we include that in our submission of our grant application that is due on June 1st. So we're really excited about this event. We're having it this morning, and then we've got another event tonight at 6:30. There's also a very simple survey that people can take online that talks about the different elements of the specific project. So you can kind of rate that on a scale of 1 to 5 on what you like best and what you like least, and then provide additional comments about the project. And we're taking those comments through May the 6th.
And we're going to post that survey on the comments here in just a minute for everyone to have access to that.
Okay. So now we get into the really fun stuff of really looking at what exactly this hillside project is going to be at Country Park. So I want to kind of take everybody over here to our lovely map that we've got over here on for visual reference. So I'm going to start by just giving a visual reference to the whole Battleground Parks District. That includes the Guilford Courthouse National Military Park, Forest Lawn Elementary, portions of the A and Y Greenway that go through it, Lewis Recreation Center that's within J.C. Park, and the Spencer Love Tennis Center and the Stoner White baseball field. Everybody that's familiar with that knows that this is Pisgah Church, Lawndale here. We also have the Greensboro Science Center that's included within the Battleground Parks District further up Lawndale. The actual focus of this particular Phase 1 development project of the Battleground Parks District is the actual hillside project that sits adjacent to the Greensboro Science Center. For anybody that is an avid user of that particular park knows that before the Rotary Carousel was developed there on that hillside, there was an existing shelter with bathrooms and then a hillside area that went to the walkway there in Country Park. Once the Rotary Carousel project started, that shelter was removed, and since that has happened, the Rotary Carousel sits on the hillside. This project will complement that existing facility there, along with the overall Battleground Parks District, and provide recreational opportunities, both new and similar amenities on that particular hillside. As part of the actual PARTIF request for this particular project, we're going to be looking at 9 different elements for this design project. So the first one will be a canopy walk slash skywalk, and that is indicated as number 1 on this particular design. So this is that area here. So basically what that skywalk is going to be a tree canopy, which is going to be a pedestrian walkway through the existing trees. And that's going to be it's a really popular kind of ecotourism attraction, and it also has an environmental educational component and a conservation of the existing trees in the project to kind of take people through those different elements of the particular park. Element number 2 is going to be a zip line, and this is going to be similar to a pulley suspended cable system that will transport riders across the lake and back as part of a new recreational opportunity that will go as part of this part of application. The third element is going to be the addition of a new shelter here that is visible kind of to the below the existing carousel, and this will be a large shelter, so it will have a capacity of around 100 people. So this will be inclusive to people of all abilities, and it'll be a great gathering spot for schools and family reunions and larger events. So people will be able to access this through a ADA accessible path that will start here at the existing promenade area and come all the way down. And then we'll be including as element number 4, this green area along the existing drive. There's kind of these little squares with X's on them. Those are just kind of put there to like be possible tent locations, but it will be an open air area for events, possible food trucks as well, to kind of happen along the existing pedestrian way on Nathaniel Green Drive. We'll also be including, of utmost importance, a restroom facility on this hillside area that will support a new park improvement that's located near the shelter and at the promenade, near the promenade event area, so it can be accessed by both existing pieces. The number 6 element will be, when I referenced before, this entry plaza with accessible parking and drop off here that will take folks all the way down from the top of the hill all the way down to the promenade area. We're also going to be doing a relocation of the existing dog park that's at Country Park. We know that's a very popular element that's located at Country Park, and for reference, it's kind of located back here on the back side of the lake. So as part of this design, this initial hillside development is happening here, and this will relocate the dog park just south of that along Nathaniel Green Drive next to our existing maintenance facility, which will provide better access for maintenance and complement existing new parking that will be happening at the entrance of Lawndale and Nathaniel Green Drive. So that's the last element of the part of application, which is element number 9, to put a roughly around a 50-car parking lot there at the entrance of Nathaniel Green Drive and Lawndale Drive. We have other feature elements that are kind of designed in orange along this as additional funding would become available, and that includes a boardwalk, a play area located right here next to the promenade, additional shelters, and additional restroom. But for this specific part of grant application and the initial hillside development of phase 1 of the Battleground Parks District, it includes these 9 elements of the design project to complement the existing Rotary carousel there and to provide additional new and similar recreation opportunities that had existed on the hillside there at Country Park. It's of our utmost importance to kind of keep Country Park and its elements very natural, and we're very conscientious of the conservation elements to this. We will be providing opportunities for environmental education, conservation as part of this development here on this particular area, being very conscientious of water retention and reclamation, and really making this a robust new amenity in Greensboro, of course, enhancing, expanding, and connecting our community back to our oldest park in Greensboro. We know that our Country Park has over 1 million visitors each year, so we really want to enhance what we have at that particular park, also being very conscientious of the natural elements that exist on that particular park. So we're really excited about this opportunity. We're excited about the grant application. We're excited about the development. So we encourage everyone to give us their feedback and their comments, and really engage with us on what the feedback is on this particular project. We want people to come out and see it, enjoy it, and give us their feedback, and we're really excited.
So, a couple questions. Who would maintain this project?
So the project would be maintained by our existing country park staff. So the majority of these elements. The zipline would be maintained likely by a third party, but the actual maintenance of the hillside area, because it is country park, would be maintained by our Parks and Operations Division.
Great. And then what are our next steps if for some reason we don't receive the product grant? What would be our next steps for the process?
So we would continue with our initial hillside development as it exists now, and we would work towards maybe looking for additional funders or sponsorships for certain elements of that particular project. But based upon the funding that we have through the bond referendum of 2016, we would continue with that development of that particular project. It might just look slightly different, but knowing that we are in the process, we are going through finalization of what would be our design development and working through our kind of construction design process, we would still be moving forward with the project.
Great. So if anyone has any further questions, you guys can email us. We're about to put our email address where you can email us information with questions. Sure. Wait a napkin. If you guys have any further questions, we're going to pin our email up here so you can email us questions. But as Shauna mentioned, we also want people to take that survey and give us your feedback that way. We're going to be back tonight at 6:30 p.m. For another opportunity for people to share their thoughts, ask any questions they might have. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, and I think we're good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it, and we'll see you tonight at 6:30. Actually, we'll see you at 1 p.m. today, where we're going to be doing showing you how to build campfires for our great camp-in this weekend. Thanks so much.